The NBA offseason has already started, which is something that we usually don't see happen a lot. We usually see like bigger trades come at, right after the finals. But as I'm recording this, yesterday Desmond Bain just got sent to the Orlando Magic. It was a big trade. It was a 4 first round pick trade, probably a trade where the Magic overpaid, but you can make the argument either way. And with that, we are now waiting on the Kevin Durant trade. We know for sure he's getting traded. It sounds like they're trying to get a deal done before the draft, which is 10 days away as I'm recording this. So, really, it's time to talk about what a trade would look like for the possible teams he can go to. Shams has reported the top 3 teams for him in terms of his preferred trade destinations are the San Antonio Spurs, the Houston Rockets, and the Miami Heat. But although in this NBA, a lot of times we see stars get what they want, that's not always the case. So there are chances he goes to other teams as well. But those are his 3 teams. And we've known this for a little while now. The Spurs have kind of always been a team that's been connected to him, considering they already have Wemby, and a lot of people want to play with Wemby. It's a big reason why they were able to get De'Aaron Fox from the Kings at the deadline. And then you also got young teams such as the Houston Rockets, who are also in Texas, which makes sense for him to like. He played college ball in Texas. They're a good young team as well. They're the 2 seed in the Western Conference this year before losing to the Warriors in round one of Game of Seven. But they have a lot of young talent. They do have future picks they can trade as well. So they're a team that, if they really want to make a win now move, can go get Kevin Durant. And then the other one is the Miami Heat, which, I mean, it feels like Miami is connected to every star. Honestly, they always will be. It's a prime destination for players to play. It's a big market. They have a good front office. They have a good coaching staff. And they have, although they're not as competitive now as they have been in the early 2020s and obviously in the LeBron days, they're still a well respected organization. And they believe, and a lot of people that follow the organization believe that they're really just a piece away from being back in it, especially in the Eastern Conference that is really up for grabs next year. So, with that, we'll start the Spurs. Now, a lot of people focus on Kevin Durant, the player, which obviously it's hard not to, right? He's probably a top 10, top 15 all time player. In terms of scoring, he's one of the most consistent scorers the league has ever seen. He's a 7 footer that can shoot the three. He can score off the dribble. He can help other people get involved on offense. And he's a fine defender. He's not great, but he's not going to, you know, cost you baskets on the end of the floor. It's kind of hard to figure out his market value knowing that he is 37. He has a year left on his deal for $53 million, I believe. And he is a guy that has had injuries throughout his career. So, what is the value for a Kevin Durant at this stage in his career? And I think the Suns were hoping they would get a lot more for a player like his caliber, but I don't think that's going to happen. And the big reason why is because of the new CBA that we've talked about in the past videos. Phoenix is a second apron team. They have been for this will be the 3rd year if they don't make a move because of the deals they have for Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and even Grayson Allen's making like $20 million a year. You're basically playing those 4 guys almost $200 million, so you're well into the luxury tax. And under this new CBA, you'll know if you've watched my other videos, you really cannot be a second apron team for 3 straight years unless you really think you have like a dynasty on your hands, which the Suns missed the playoffs. They didn't even make the play in last year. They cannot come back with this team. And that is why the value for a guy like Kevin Durant is so low right now in comparison to a guy like Desmond Bain, who just went for 4 picks. Kevin Durant is a better player than Desmond Bain. Nobody's debating that. He will not go for 4 first round picks or anything close to that. I don't even think he'll go for 3 at this point. Because I think if Phoenix had like a 3 first round pick trade on the table, I think they would have taken it by now, regardless of whether KD wanted to play there or not. Especially if you're not even making the playoffs in such a loaded Western Conference. Teams know this, and because of that, and because of his value and the concerns of potentially another injury for him, his value is way lower than what the average NBA viewer would think. We'll start with the Houston Rockets. Obviously, he played college ball at Texas, so I think that's a big reason why he has like preferred interest in the Houston and the San Antonio market. As far as your payroll goes, you're at 190 million next year, but that's including options that you might even not take. So you're in a really good spot salary cap wise. Like you can take on this Kevin Durant contract and probably keep yourselves under the first apron, if not definitely below the second apron. The problem is for Houston, if you're the Suns, who do you get back in this trade? And is there anybody that you get back that you want on your team long term? The biggest name for Houston Rockets in terms of the trade market, assuming you're not trading Alperen Sengun, is Jalen Green. And if you're the Phoenix Suns, do you really want a guy like Jalen Green? Obviously, he's young. He's 23. He was a borderline All Star last year. I feel like he just missed the cut, but he was very inconsistent in the playoffs. He's also really just kind of a scorer. He doesn't have too much else to his game in terms of playmaking. I'm sure he's a solid defender. He's a good athlete, but you don't need scoring from the guard position. He's also not even really a one. He's more of a two, and you have your franchise two in Devin Booker. So I don't think those would complement each other well. His contract also isn't great. Jalen Green's getting paid. He'll be $33 billion a year next year, which, although is not bad, I don't think that really helps you enough to make that trade. And in terms of other guys on this roster for Houston to trade, I mean, you're not going to trade Amen Thompson. You're probably not going to trade other guys like, say, I mean, Dylan Brooks probably wouldn't get traded. I don't even think they'd want him. So at that point, who do you give up if you're the Rockets that the Phoenix would be interested in? Maybe Reed Shepard. He's 20 years old. He was their rookie last year, didn't play. Maybe you trade him away. Maybe you trade away Jabari Smith, who's on an expiring deal for 12 million. I think a potential package for this team would be something like those two guys and then a first round pick. They have a lot of future ones, so maybe you throw them a one from, let's see, 2027. You have Brooklyn's one. Maybe you throw them that. I mean, that might have a lot of value by the time that comes around. You also have Phoenix's one in 2027. Maybe you give them their one back. That would be pretty funny, honestly, if Phoenix is traded back for their own picks in the future. But I think if Houston had to make a trade for Durant, I believe they would give up two ones. And then you probably have to give up one of these younger guys in a Reed Shepard or a Jabari Smith Jr., which that's a pretty good trade if you're Houston. But again, if you're Phoenix, do you have enough interest in those guys to do that? That's really what that comes down to on that side of things. The next one would be the San Antonio Spurs. It feels like the Spurs have been the favorite to make a trade for KD for a long time now. Honestly, until San Antonio pulls the trigger on a big trade, they're going to be a favorite for a lot of big names. They would have been for Giannis, especially this year. Now they have picks 2 and 14 in the draft. You probably don't have to give up either one of those for Durant. Maybe 14. You got Victor Wembanyama. You got De'Aaron Fox, who De'Aaron Fox will be a free agent after next year, so he will need an extension. And then you have some younger guys, but you're probably not going to trade a lot of these guys for him. Stephon Castle, the rookie of the year, you probably don't want to trade him for an older veteran, Kevin Durant. But you could very easily, you are not a first apron team, so you can help Phoenix in aggregating trades to kind of help them lower their contract, their payout. So if it's the Suns, I would imagine it looks something like, I believe Harrison Barnes would be in here. He's an expiring deal for 19 million. And then you probably throw one of Keldon Johnson or Devin Vassell in here as well. If you're gonna get KD, that would take you around like 40 million ish. So you'd be able to help Phoenix save some money and maybe even get out of that second apron, and then maybe throw them a pick. I think if the Spurs were willing to do this trade, where you trade away Barnes, one of Vassell Johnson, and then a pick, then I think this trade gets done, and I think he would be a San Antonio Spur. But I mean, he's still there on the market, right? So we don't know if they are even offering that. I do think that could be the best package that they can receive from any of those top three teams, though, is Keldon Johnson or Devin Vassell or both, Harrison Barnes, and then a pick. You're giving them, if you're Phoenix, you would do that trade because you are getting a future pick. You're going to shed some salary for this coming year, and then for future years, you're going to get all of that off the books. So that would be pretty nice. And then lastly, of those three, would be the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat are my favorite team. I've been hoping they would get into this mix for a while. And from an unbiased perspective, I do think like they are really in the running for this player. I think of all the teams that need, in terms of like changing their outlook for the future, whether it's 1 year or a couple years, I think Miami would benefit the most from Katie's presence. You have Tyler here, you have Bam Adebayo. Those are your cornerstone guys. Bam Adebayo is an All NBA level defender. He's a top defender in the league. He's proven he can be a second option on a team that gets you a championship, but not a second option on a team that can win you a championship. Which, if you get KD, you're looking to do that. You're looking to make another push at a championship. Tyler Hero is still young. Tyler Hero is 25. He's got 2 years left on his deal. He is up for an extension. We'll see how that goes. He is a 24, 25 point per game scorer as of last year. He was an all star. We haven't seen him do it in the playoffs as a number one. And there's nothing wrong with that. He doesn't have to be a number one long term. Kevin Durant would be their guy on offense. He would be the guy on offense. Tyler Hero could be more of a backseat role, kind of like a Devin Booker in Phoenix. They kind of have similar skill sets, the two. Tyler Hero is a better 3 point shooter. Devin Booker is just a better like all around player. Bam Adebayo would be able to take a back seat on the offensive end to KD and Tyler Hero. He can focus more on the defensive end, and he has a 3 point shot now, so he at the very least helps you space the floor. The big part about this team, for this team, and the future is Khalil Ware. 21-year-old center, rookie, all rookie team last year. Really didn't play until, at least in the starting lineup, till January, February last year. The Heat have not had a center like Khalil Ware in a very long time. The last time the Heat had a true center, and I'm not talking Bam Adebayo, who is 6'9" and can play the center, a true center that can rebound, block shots, and defend taller guys at a pretty high level, seemingly, was Hassan Whiteside. But Hassan Whiteside really didn't contribute to winning as much as the team thought he could, which is why he got traded the year after they drafted Bam Adebayo once Bam was ready to take his job. Khalil Ware is a special player that a lot of contending teams in the NBA have today, in the form of guys that can shoot threes, they can defend, they can block shots. And he's a bit of a hybrid. He has a little bit of a post game. He can shoot mid range. Obviously, he's very athletic. He's a lob threat. When you look at all the teams that are playing well in today's league, the Pacers in the finals, they have Miles Turner. He fits this archetype. The Thunder have a Chet Holmgren, who is a little bit different, but still kind of does the same things that Khalil Ware can do. And then Wembanyama, of course. The list goes on, right? Chris Bosh for the Heat in the old days kind of did that, more of a power forward. But nonetheless, Khalil Ware is a guy that his archetype seems to contribute to winning. So I really don't think the Heat should, nor do they want to give up Khalil Ware. The Suns have said that they want a center, so I would imagine this is what would hold up a Heat trade if it happened, is the willingness to give up Khalil Ware. If the Heat were to throw in Khalil Ware and you throw in like Andrew Wiggins, maybe you even throw in like a Kyle Anderson or a Duncan Robinson who would get bought out, that would probably get the deal done, if I'm being honest, because you would relieve some cap space. You have your franchise center long term to learn and develop with a guy that's in his prime, like Devin Booker. I mean, yeah, you don't get a pick out of it, but you get your center. You do have a pick this year. Maybe you can even get a one out of Miami. I don't think you're getting a one out of Miami if Khalil Ware is in this trade. What I really think a package would look like is Andrew Wiggins would be in this trade, I believe, making around $30 million a year. The Heat would put Duncan Robinson in this trade, which doesn't sound enticing, right? But if you're the Phoenix Suns, Duncan Robinson is on a $20 million deal, but you can buy him out, which means you would pay him $9 or $10 million of his contract, half of it, and then the other half would just come off the books. That alone would knock you out of the second apron and down to a first apron team, giving you a little more flexibility both this year and long term. And then you would also throw in a guy, probably Nikola Jovic, really whoever you like more between Jaime Jaquez and Nikola Jovic. Nikola Jovic is young, he's still only 22. So a lot of potential there, honestly. Similar build and model game to Kevin Durant. So You got that going as well. And then if you're the Heat, you probably got to give up a one here as well. The Heat pick 23rd this year's draft, if I remember right. It's either 23rd or 20th, so you'd probably give up that pick and then at most one more one on top of that in the future. So basically, the trade would look like Nikola Jovic, Andrew Wiggins, Duncan Robinson, and then a one this year for KD. And if you're the Heat, honestly, I would just hope that they take that. I don't want to have Khalil Ware in this trade at all. If you can get it done without giving up a one and you keep Jovic, then maybe. But I really think if you're the Heat for a year in the East where Boston's basically out the picture, the Knicks are there, the Pacers are there, the Magic might be there now, and then maybe the Cavs. We'll see what happens with them. You're a top four, top five team in the East with the potential to make a run. So, and another thing hurting Kevin Durant's value is the fact that he wants an extension. I don't think teams are going to want to give him this contract extension. If I'm the Heat, I'm a Heat fan. I want KD here for the right price. I don't want to extend him right away. I don't want to commit long term. If it goes bad, I don't want to have another year of Kevin Durant for like $50 million. I'd rather wait till after the year, and if it goes really well, then okay, yeah, pay him again for one more year at $50 million. He's 37. I don't want to commit multiple years to Kevin Durant. I guess we'll finish this video up talking about some dark horse candidates. Um, Really, it feels like those top three teams are the ones, but in this league, we really never know. Some team can come and just blow them out the water with an offer. I would say my dark horses for Kevin Durant would be the LA Clippers and the Toronto Raptors. The Clippers are a team. I think the Clippers were a really good team last year. The West is obviously loaded, but you have Kawhi Leonard, you have James Harden, you have Zubac. You can keep those three guys and maybe make a run at Kevin Durant by trading like a Norman Powell. Maybe you trade away a future pick. Maybe you throw in a young role player like a Derek Jones Jr. or Chris Dunn, right? You have these guys. You really don't have a lot of younger guys. You're still trying to win this championship. So I think if you were to add KD, that puts you up there in the Western Conference so you can make a run at it again with Kawhi Leonard and James Harden before they get too late in their careers. And then my last one, the Toronto Raptors. The Raptors, similar to the Magic for a while, were kind of teams that are just looking to make a big splash from what we've heard in like the NBA rumor mill. The Orlando Magic obviously did make a splash in the trade for Desmond Bain, which doesn't sound that crazy, but he should complement Paolo and Franz Wagner pretty well. But if the Raptors, you're trying to get somebody next to Scotty Barnes so you can be relevant again. Scotty Barnes is a good player. He's an all-star. So if you get KD next to him, maybe for a year or two, that's something. That's my least likely one. But you do have your future picks. You have Masai Ujiri, who's Masai Ujiri has made a move like that before. He traded for Kevin. Oh my God, not Kevin Durant. He traded for Kawhi Leonard for a year, not knowing if he'd resign or not the next year. Ultimately, Kawhi didn't resign with him, but you won a championship. So you take that 9 times out of 10. You won your first championship in your franchise history. It's a really interesting situation for KD because we've never seen a star at this age get traded or about to get traded with an expiring deal with KD's history because KD obviously hasn't really won on his own, but he's been very close. So in a way, he still kind of has something left to prove, but that really just affects his market value in the landscape of today's NBA. So I'm very curious to see where he goes in these next coming days.